Welcome in. What's Right with Nick Wright, episode 319. Huge show, huge day, fresh off the Masters, NBA playoffs starting, and fresh, potentially, with a new big day for What's Right, maybe a new partnership, and today, if not today, certainly this week, we're going to hit 200,000 subscribers on YouTube. So shout out to everyone who works on the show. Shout out to Demonze, myself, everybody, Blue Duck, Volume, all the folks. And shout out to my friends at SeatGeek. More on them later in the show. But I had a big meeting a few weeks ago, and they're like, hey, who are some brands you actually use? Like things you actually use. I'm like, well, you already took care of the sports betting with DraftKings. That's a check. And I was like, Peloton every day, 5 days a week during the NBA playoffs, but that's fine. 5 to 7 days a week. I said that. Cars, I said Mercedes, still looking at them. Sharpie, I've been trying to get you guys for 10 years. I mean, your number, they're probably like, we don't need to pay to endorse it. He advertises us more than anyone ever. And SeatGeek, because when they had talked to me, I had just bought those courtside tickets to Lakers Grizzlies, hadn't gone yet on SeatGeek. I bought my theater stuff on SeatGeek, and guess what? SeatGeek's now a part of the What's Right team, and so more on them in a bit, but appreciate them. As always, Demonze, how are you? I know you've been a little under the weather.
I'm pretty good. Good to see you, Pops. Doing a lot better these days, but we're on the up.
Okay, good. You sound good. You sound better than I thought. Your mom talked to you this weekend, and she was like, Demonze's sick. He's coughing and all this stuff. I was like, Tuesday's big show because, listen, we can't do, and I understand Warriors Clippers happened. We have Lakers Thunder, or Lakers Timberwolves. My NBA awards ballot is today. We are preemptively bumping our NFC over-unders instead of during the shows. We've done 3 straight shows before the show. We're now doing that Thursday because Wednesday night we're not going to need to talk. Thursday we're not going to need to talk a lot about the Wednesday night 9-10 muck play-in games. So Thursday we're going to do NFL over-unders. Today we're going to do awards ballots. But you know what we also have to do? The producers all of a sudden, they care a lot about the YouTube algorithm, about what goes viral. And they're like, Clippers-Warriors was Sunday. Lakers stuff does really well. Maybe we can trick Nick into not talking about the Masters by putting in what missed the cut. So here's what missed the cut, and including what's going to be a 5 to 20 minute missed the cut segment. It won't be 20, but it's going to be a few minutes. Dallas drafts Paige Becker's number 1. That was obvious. Max Crosby's new assistant GM in Eastern Michigan. That doesn't matter. Here's what does matter. Rory freaking McIlroy in an all-time Masters Sunday and all-time Masters tournament. In the last 60 years, Demonze, there have been 12 people to walk on the moon. There have been 2 people to complete the career Grand Slam in golf. Okay. Rory just became one of them. It's just facts. Since the advent of color television, you up until Sunday were 12 times more likely to walk on the moon than complete the career Grand Slam. Just fact. And Rory had been trying and trying and trying. The 5 people who had completed it before, they completed it. It was Sam Snead, Gene Sarazen, Gary Player, Jack Nicklaus, and Tiger Woods. Fact check me on that, producers, but I'm 90% sure those were the 5. Sarazen, Snead, Player, Nicklaus, Woods. Those 5 guys all completed it either on their first try or their second or third try. Rory was had 11 tries. 11 tries, couldn't get it done. And then this weekend, he goes into Sunday with the lead. So let me back it up a little bit. Thursday, Rory having one of the best Masters. Oh, I gave it to Sam Snead. It was Ben Hogan. My apologies. My goodness gracious. Terrible job by me. Good job by Sam Snead for me thinking it was him, but obviously it was Ben Hogan. I got Sarazen right, Snead wrong. Doesn't matter. Back to Thursday. Rory announcing himself. This is going to be my tournament. He's on his way cruising to probably a 66 round 1 at Augusta. And then double bogey 15, double bogey 17. All of a sudden, a majestic round turns into even par. What happened, Rory? How does that happen? But then he rebounds Friday with a great round. Saturday, despite having another double. Saturday, another great round. And then we're like, okay, he's the leader. Bryson hits a huge putt on 18. It's going to be Bryson and Rory, the two most popular golfers in the world. Both polarizing for their own reasons. Final pairing at Augusta National, when just last year, when Rory was looking like he was going to win a major, Bryson up and down from the bunker at 18 to steal it from him. Rory, crestfallen, leaves without talking to the press. Everyone gets mad at him. Sunday, though, he's got the lead. 2-shot lead going into Sunday at the Masters. First hole. Another double bogey. It's now 3 double bogeys on the round. Only one guy ever has won the Masters with 3 double bogeys. He then follows that up with a terrible second hole, and all of a sudden, Bryson is in the lead. And the Rory meltdown is on, it would appear. But it wasn't. He then rallies over the next 10 holes. Takes a commanding lead. I think it was a 4-shot lead at that point. DeMonte on DraftKings, he is minus 1,200 to win the tournament. Minus 1,200. All you got to do, Rory, is cruise. Just relax, chill, don't worry, cruise. So we get to the 13th hole. Sorry, my phone's playing the sound because I'm looking at the highlights. So excited. Get to the 13th hole. He has a 4-shot lead. Bryson has melted at this point. It's a par 5. He's been going for par 5s and 2 all weekend. He says, you know what? I'm going to be smart. No Jean Van de Velding here. I'm going to lay up. Leave myself a beautiful 80 yards to get on the green. And he duffs it. One of the worst pitch shots you'll ever see a professional golfer hit. Right into the creek. Right into the creek from 80 yards out. And all of a sudden, he has his 4th double bogey of the day. All of a sudden, it's a tournament again. And nobody can believe it's happened. But very next hole, another bogey. Is the Rory meltdown complete? It is not. An amazing 15th and 17th hole. And all of a sudden, he gets to 18. Justin Rose holes a putt. He gets to 18, DeMonte. We just need a 4. A 4 and you put on the green jacket. A 4 and you're a legend forever. Rory McIlroy, who was such a prodigy in Northern Ireland. His dad and his buddies pooled money when he was like 10 years old to bet with the bookies in Ireland. One day my son's going to come back to Europe, to the United Kingdom, and win the British Open. The bookie was like, give me a break. He's like, nope. In fact, I'm going to give you the exact details on that. Rory McIlroy, dad, British Open bet. This is an all-time story. So Rory's dad walks in to a bookie shop in the UK. He says, I got a 15-year-old son. He's going to win the British Open one day. Me and my friends have pooled together $200. Guy's like, well, all right. I'll give you 500 to 1 on it. It's like, all right, $200 to win $100,000. I'll take it. And 10 years later, Rory does it. 26 years old. Dad walks back in, says, hope you spent that $200 wisely. Give me my 100 racks. But then Rory went a decade without winning a major. Shortly after that, still no Masters, no career Grand Slam. He walks up to 18 knowing a 4, and I win the Masters. Puts it in the sand. That's okay. Just get it close, Rory. Get it close. He gets it to 6 feet. This putt to win the Masters. Pulls it left. Misses! Oh my God. This is going to be the most crushing loss in golf history. Playoff hole. Justin Rose, been steady. Round 1 leader, round 2 leader, just chilling. All of a sudden, a crazy putt for him on 18 to get in the playoff. Rory hits his second on 18 in the playoff hole within 4 feet. Shot of his life. Drains the putt, puts on the green jacket, weeps, sobs, the stuff dreams are made of. Now one of the 15 greatest golfers ever, one of the 10 greatest golfers of the last 100 years, Rory damn McIlroy. And, oh yeah, have you looked at the other majors this year? One is the PGAs that, of course, he crushes. The U.S. Opens that, of course, he's won at. And guess where the British Open is, DeMonze? In Northern Ireland, where he's from. Oh, my. What a weekend. What a weekend of golf. All of that took place on me and your mom's anniversary. And I was sitting in a sports book in Philadelphia where, man, sometimes being in Philadelphia, being Nick Wright can suck. And I don't know if your mom gave you this story. I disarmed everybody all day. Everybody that came up to me, I could see in their eye, I'm like, they want to talk trash to me. So every single person that came up to me, I said, congrats on the Super Bowl, before they could say anything. And I disarmed everyone. Everyone, because of that, was quite nice, except for one person who was a little drunk at a bar and really got in my face and was really quite rude to me. And here's the tricky part about that. That one person happened to be a female. And your mom was sitting right there. And I was like, oh boy, this is not going to go well for anyone involved. Her boyfriend's recording. I'm like, oh, she like really planned this whole confrontation. I'm like, hey, I congratulate you on the Super Bowl. And she was like in this stupid South Jersey accent, like, stop talking all that shit. I'm like, I didn't talk any shit. I said congrats on winning the Super Bowl. I'm just having a good time. She was like, then why'd you come up and talk to us? I'm like, okay, you're hammered. I've just been sitting here.
What?
And as soon as she said that, your mom stood up. I was like, oh boy, time to go. Nice to meet you. See you guys later. We're out of here. But, so that was Saturday. Sunday, your mom's out shopping. So the reason I even said any of this, so in the sports book folks know me and they actually like me. So they're like, hey Nick, it's a 10 TV setup, 2 giant ones, and then 8 good ones. They basically gave me the remote for Sunday. They're like, you pick the games, you pick the sound. What a dream. I'm signaling them when to go from the sound of the Masters to Warriors Clippers. We've got the Lakers in the bottom corner because Bronny's playing. I've got a bet on the Nuggets to beat the Rockets. We got that going. Oh, my goodness. What a dream. So all that was Sunday, capped off by Rory McIlroy and capped off by the Warriors, potentially wrecking their whole season. Now to the part of the show everyone who has a financial incentive on the show wished I would have led with, which is the basketball, but I care too much about the golf to leave it out. Go ahead.
So the play-in tournament starts tonight on the West. We've got Golden State and Memphis. On the East, you got Orlando and Atlanta. There's a lot to unpack in Orlando and Atlanta, so I don't think we're going to get to it today.
You said there's a lot to unpack.
Yeah,
that's funny. Another way to put it is, who gives a damn? We're not talking about Orlando, Atlanta. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the big story is Golden State's in the play-in, and the bigger story is, what did you think of the game that knocked them into the play-in? They obviously took an L to the Clippers.
All right, so I think a lot of things. I think the first thing is, I owe Draymond Green an apology. 9 years ago, DeMonze, the Golden State Warriors were playing the Oklahoma City Thunder in the Western Conference Finals. It's a very famous series because in those Western Conference Finals, the Thunder were up 3-1, and the Warriors came all the way back, most famously because of Klay Thompson's Game 6, a brilliant Game 7, and then the Warriors, of course, went on to lose their own 3-1 lead in the NBA Finals. Many people falsely believe the reason they lost that series was because Draymond Green got suspended for Game 5. Now, that reason that belief is so absurd is because not only did the Cavs blow them out in Game 5, but the argument was, well, LeBron would have never scored 41 if Draymond was on the court. And so in Game 6, when Draymond was on the court, LeBron scored exactly 41 again. But that's neither here nor there to the apology. So in those NBA playoffs, the reason Draymond Green people falsely believe Draymond Green got suspended for punching LeBron James in the groin. That is not, or slapping him in the groin, however you want to put it. That is not quite right. Draymond Green got suspended for accumulating 4 flagrant foul points. He got a flagrant foul in round 1 against the Rockets for body slamming Michael Beasley as the game was ending in something that no one quite could ever figure out why he did. He got a flagrant foul point for slapping at LeBron James, but in the interregnum of that, he got a flagrant foul point for attempting a layup and kicking Steven Adams dead in the groin. And so all that accumulated. And I was very vocal that that was obviously intentional, because no human being ever has ever shot a layup and had part of the layup motion be their left leg go at a 90-degree angle into the air towards the baseline. So obviously he was trying to do it. 9 years later, I'm here to tell you, Draymond, I apologize. I was wrong. Turns out you sometimes just spaz out on layups, because with the game on the line, down 2, in overtime, Draymond Green had a wide open layup, no one to kick, and in some weird failed attempt to draw a foul, I guess, kicked the air, fell backwards, and smoked the layup. And that was only one of his 2 grievous late game mistakes. So the other one is this, and the broadcast, I think, screwed this up. End of regulation. The Clippers get the ball, tie game, 31 seconds left. So what that means is, make or miss, the Warriors are going to get the last shot. You play solid defense for 20, 24 seconds, you're going to have 7 to 10 seconds if you're Golden State with a timeout. Kawhi gets the ball with 4 on the shot clock and now 11 on the game clock, and Draymond panics and takes a foul to give, which the broadcast was like, oh, that's no problem. They're not in the bonus. It's foul to give. It was a problem, because now the shot clock resets to 14. There's only 10 seconds left. Now the Clippers get the last shot. Now the worst case scenario for the Clippers is overtime, as opposed to worst case scenario being losing. So Draymond messed up the end of regulation, smoked the layup at the end of overtime, and all of a sudden, the Warriors are in the play-in. There's another part of that game that I must address, because Steph Curry, listen, Steph was utterly brilliant in the fourth quarter of that game. Hit a shot that he thought was the game winner. I know, because he did his shimmy afterwards and then ended up losing. And I even can not ding him too much for the 8 turnovers in that game, even though those were rough. But when Kawhi's locked like that, and Chris Dunn is really impressive defensively, all of a sudden, you're going to force some turnovers. Fine, so be it. But the other thing that happened at the end of that game is something that has happened to Steph Curry at the end of close games, particularly close high-leverage games, for the majority of his career, which is Steve Kerr takes him off the court because he is a defensive liability. And I understand that people get so enraptured by Steph Curry's offensive brilliance, one-of-one shot making, the gravity he has on the game, all of it, and sustained excellence at age 37, that people sometimes get a little over their skis. And they're like, not only is he top 10, why is he not in the GOAT conversation? And I have been hesitant to have him quite officially crack my all-time top 10. So my all-time top 12 in order, longtime listeners know this, viewers know this, and I will do this off the top of my head. I will know I will get it right if we end with 12, is LeBron, Kareem, Michael, Magic, Russell, Wilt, Duncan, Kobe, Bird, Dream, Shaq, Steph. So, Shaq and Steph are right on the outside. Barely. They are both one-of-one unique forces in NBA history. They both, however, have one feature that no one in the top 10 does, which is, in some of the biggest games of their careers, their team took them off the court because of a flaw in their game that they were never able to quite correct. For Shaquille O'Neal, it was late game free throws. If they had a lead late and the other team was definitely going to foul, Phil Jackson would say to Shaq, we're better off with you not on the court this possession. And Steve Kerr, for Steph's entire career, if given the opportunity to go offense-defense, will have one of the greatest players of all time stand next to him rather than be on the court. It's not disqualifying from anything other than jumping guys like Dream and Bird and Kobe and Duncan. So it's not disrespectful. You still have him ahead of Dr. J, ahead of Jokic, ahead of Jerry West, ahead of Oscar, ahead of Giannis, ahead of Durant, ahead of all those guys. But you saw it again. And so those were my initial takeaways. And then my further out takeaway was, wait a minute. Kuminga wasn't under the weather. Kuminga wasn't dinged up. Kuminga was a fully healthy DNP coach's decision, which again, maybe that was covered during the broadcast, but I was toggling sound masters to the NBA, and so I didn't realize that. That is a huge story. And what that means for the Warriors' vibe check going forward and the Warriors' chances. So Golden State had it all out in front of them, where if they had just taken care of the Spurs game, which they blew in horrific fashion, and I don't know if we've talked since then, but that Spurs loss, just like, I think we did it on Thursday, I don't know. I think, doesn't matter, really echoes through this season. Much like the Spurs win over the Nuggets last year cost them the 1 seed. Echoed through that season when the Nuggets all of a sudden are blowing a Game 7 to the Timberwolves. So that loss made it to where the Warriors weren't going to be able to get to the 4-5 line. This loss puts them in the play-in. And we have seen the Warriors have issues in the play-in. LeBron hit the 3 over Steph, their first game ever in the play-in. Draymond then smoked a layup as time expired in their elimination game of the play-in. They went to overtime and the Grizzlies beat them. And then last year, Klay has the worst game of his career and they lose to the Kings in the play-in. That's 0 for 3. And while no one has been less impressed by the traveling circus that is the Memphis Grizzlies than me as of late, the Grizzlies can win tonight. And if the Grizzlies win tonight, DeMonte, the Warriors season ends. Not because the Warriors won't beat the winner of Mavs Kings, but because the Warriors, having cost themselves a week off, dealing with Jimmy Butler's quad contusion, Jonathan Kuminga's ego contusion, and then all of a sudden heading into Oklahoma City, will get absolutely cooked.
Wait, so
Run off the court.
What's going on with Jonathan Kuminga? You're saying the ego thing?
Kerr
sounds like you don't really. Go ahead.
For the first time in 3 months, Kerr was like, "No, you're just not in the rotation." And
he's probably the X factor for that team. Or maybe Pods. Yeah. I could see Pods being that.
But whatever it is, man, Kerr just decided in our biggest game of the year, we are better off giving you 0 minutes. And according to the people who've covered that team the closest, the players are not mad about it. So that's Kuminga's kind of been on the outs. He wanted a big contract. They didn't give it to him. But still, you thought that he was going to be important. And so now the Warriors' best case scenario is they go into a 2-week all-out death match with Ime Udoka's Rocket squad, with Amen Thompson fresh off holding Steph Curry to 3 points, putting him in jail for 2 weeks. And if you're lucky enough to get out of that series only bruised and battered, you have the Lakers waiting for you. So none of that's good, man. So I think this weekend was disastrous for the Warriors, and I think they absolutely could lose tonight. I know they're 7-point favorites. Ja is a live grenade, and he can go off.
Yeah.
And so I think that is very dangerous. I know you have another play-in question. Do that, and then we can move on.
Yeah, so how do you feel about the play-in? Do you think that it should maybe be taken, or should they leave it to give, teams or players like Steph the opportunity to make it if you're kind of hanging out in the back?
So here's the thing. I like it under the original premise, which was the bubble created the play-in, but it was only going to exist if teams were within X amount of games in the standings. This year, it isn't fair for the Warriors or the Grizzlies that one of them is going to be in a win or go home game against a Kings or a Mavs team that the Warriors and Grizzlies both won 48 games. The Kings and Mavs won 40 and 39 respectively. So that's where I don't like it. So last year's standings are a better example of when it could be good. Last year, the Lakers won 47. The Kings and Warriors both won 46. So it's like, okay, they're a game apart. The Pelicans won 49. They were the 7 initially. The Lakers beat them. And then the Pelicans, and then the Warriors played the Kings in the 9-10. The Kings went on, obviously, to play the Pelicans in the final play-in game. But the point being, under those circumstances where teams are that close, but last year, for example, in the East, the Sixers won 47, the Heat won 46. Those were the 7-8. And then the Bulls won 39 and the Hawks won 36, and they're in a play-in. So I do like it. I don't think it should be guaranteed that we're getting it. I think we should only get it if teams are within, say, 3 games of making the playoffs without it. Reminder, by the way, like, rate, subscribe, review, especially since I said I think we might be able to hit 200,000 today. And so we're at 198,000 and change. So it would be great if anybody who's watching right now hits the bell or likes, rates, subscribes, review. And if you're listening to us right now, please subscribe on Spotify or iTunes or anywhere else. And you can drop live questions in the chat. All right, now let's get to the Lakers side of this.
Lakers locked up the 3 seed, and now they are facing Ant in Minnesota in round 1. Luka obviously took care of business against them last year. He averaged 32, 9, and 8. How do you think these teams stack up against each other? Are you a little worried there?
No, this is the ideal bracket for the Lakers.
Okay.
So, listen, everything's hard in the West. And everyone wanted Memphis. But once it was clear Memphis wasn't going to climb out of the play-in part of it, then this was the best you could have hoped for. You want to play the Nuggets right now? I don't. Jamal Murray's back. Joker is Joker. You want to play the Clippers right now? Holy shit. That team looks unbelievable. The Warriors, because of Steph, are always dangerous. So again, the best possible path for the Lakers, in my opinion, was having the Thunder, Nuggets, and Clippers on the other side of the bracket. And they do. They might, by the way, also, if the Warriors lose tonight, if the Warriors lose tonight, the Lakers' road to the conference finals is Timberwolves and then either Rockets, Grizzlies. And even if the Warriors win tonight, then it's Timberwolves and either Rockets, Golden State. And so Ant might average 32 a game in this series. The Lakers do not have anyone that can guard Anthony Edwards, but that's fine. Here are the other things that are going to happen. I don't know how you can credibly play Rudy Gobert the amount of minutes you probably want to play him. Luka just told us a week ago. He was like, what moment from your from the Mavs video got you choked up the most? And it wasn't when they drafted him. It wasn't, one of his crazy buzzer beaters. It wasn't the 70-point game. It was hitting the step back over Gobert in the conference finals, then cursing him out in Slovenian. Luka has tortured Rudy Gobert on multiple continents. In the Olympics, Slovenia against France, he's done it. When Gobert was a Jazz, he did it. When Gobert was a Timberwolf, he did it. So that is a rough spot for the Timberwolves to start with. You then add that the Lakers they no longer have to deal with playoff D'Angelo Russell, which is a disaster, and instead get to go against playoff Julius Randle, which is a different type of disaster. That's nice. They don't have Darvin Ham with his hands in his pockets, drawing up on the whiteboard, contest without fouling. They've got JJ, who's been up for 39 straight hours, figuring out how to blitz Anthony Edwards. All that's good. You also have a series that, because Luka is going to want to make Rudy Gobert cry, LeBron's going to be able to sit back the first three quarters like he did in that Mavs game. So again, I think it is a hard-fought 5 games for the Lakers, maybe 6. I will tell you guys, my favorite round 1 bet, shout out to my friends at DraftKings. By the way, I would like to, can DraftKings, can we start getting some boosts or something? If there's something I really like, I don't know. This is plus 120. Maybe they can throw my face on it and make it plus 125 for What's Right listeners. But the Lakers minus a game and a half in the series, meaning is plus 120. So the Lakers for the series is minus 200. So question is, do you think the Lakers are going to win the series? Yes. Okay. You bet them at minus 200. You win if they win in 4, 5, 6, or 7. Or you can get them at minus a game and a half at plus 120, and you win if they win the series in 4, 5, or 6. So yes, you cost yourself if it's a 7-game Lakers win, but I don't think it's going to be 7 games. Because I think Luka's going to light this team on fire. And I think that, listen, Naz Reid's going to be a problem. You credit where it's due. Jaden McDaniels is an excellent defensive player. But we saw Luka with a worse supporting cast, beat this team in 5 to go to the finals last year. Now, Ant said, I got tired, which was odd, and Ant won't be tired this time. But you also have LeBron with 8 days off coming into it.
On the LeBron side, are like obviously not trying to speak this into existence, but are you worried at all about his groin? So I know that was kind of acting up last week.
I saw, yeah, so it looked like he kind of tweaked it in the game against Houston, game 81.
Yeah.
He didn't seem too concerned, and this is also why, having 8 days off is going to be so incredibly useful and helpful. So no, I'm not. Obviously, if he truly re-aggravates his groin, if he has to miss time, then that would be a problem. But this is where I remind you guys of one of the single most remarkable stats in basketball history, which is LeBron James teams have played in 287 playoff games, DeMonze, in his career. 208. So teams LeBron has been on have played in 287 playoff games. Of those 287, LeBron James has played in 287. He has never missed a single playoff game in his career. So yes, fingers crossed, knock on wood, whatever you got to do. But also that number is so bananas.
It's pretty crazy.
It's 3.5 full seasons.
Yeah.
This will be his 55th career playoff series. 55 series. He's 41-13 in his career in playoff series. And so, you hope, obviously he's got to stay healthy. He's done a good job of that through his career. One more question before we move on to some other stuff.
So if Minnesota ends up winning this series and Ant shows out, does he move closer to becoming the face?
So, yes, Ant needs to tighten up his off-court life, but he's got everything else. And if he were to outduel LeBron and Luka in what is going to be the highest-rated round 1 series, yeah. That will, but I kind of look at Ant. Here's the optimistic look of Ant. He's on the Luka trajectory. Luka made an early conference finals run. The next year, the team made a big trade and then took a bit of a step back. For Luka, it was Kyrie. They end up missing the playoffs. For Ant, they trade Karl-Anthony Towns. They end up down at the 6 line, probably bounced in round 1. And the next year for Luka, they made the finals. So that it's not like Ant is behind schedule at all. But yes, winning this round 1 series would do more for Ant's notoriety and face of the league stuff than winning the round 2 series they did last year against Denver.
But winning the round 2 series probably be super important with this year. Like if he won this one, like if they beat the Lakers and then they just lost in round 2.
Correct. No. You beat the Lakers, everyone's then going to expect you to beat the Rockets or the Warriors or the Grizzlies. That part's definitely true. All right, before we get to the other round 1 series, guys, this is awesome. You guys know that one of my favorite things to do is go to sporting events. Also, love going to Broadway, actually. I just saw Gypsy. Oh, my goodness. This is unbelievable. Audra McDonald, my Lord. But you guys also saw, I was just at Lakers Grizzlies courtside. You guys might not have seen because I didn't tweet anything from it. But I just took my nephew to his first ever basketball game, Knicks Suns, last weekend. And tonight, I am going to Yankees Royals because the Royals are back in town. They lost last night. That sucks. Playing the Yankees. And I get all of my seats from our new sponsor, SeatGeek. Over 28 million downloads. SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There's more than 70,000 events listed on SeatGeek, including concerts, sports, festivals, and more. Right now, you can get tickets to the MLB season. Again, I'm going to Yankees-Royals tonight, and then I'm going to – I don't have my tickets yet for tomorrow, but assuming the Royals win tonight – in fact, it doesn't matter whether they win or lose tonight – I am taking my wife, my daughter, and one other person, I'm not sure who, to Yankees-Royals on Wednesday, getting those seats from SeatGeek. So if you guys haven't used SeatGeek before, again, the deal score, it's been copied by other people. Nobody does it right. It gives you a great feeling, especially if it's for a stadium you haven't been to before. Like, how good is this seat? How good is this deal? And it's really good for Broadway in particular, because Broadway's a little confusing. Like, sometimes, like basketball games, row 1 is the best. But Broadway, that's not always the case. Sometimes you want to be a little further back. Doesn't matter. Point is this, SeatGeek helps you out with all of it. And again, right now, for that Yankee game, I don't know if I can show you guys, but you can get in on SeatGeek for $35 if you want to sit in the grandstands. And hell, there's seats right there. That's a shot. Wow. The disrespect to the Royals. I'm shocked at what a good deal that is. That's right next to the Royals dugout. That's the best seats in the house for Legend Suite. You need lobster and stuff. It's $350 right there on SeatGeek. So again, SeatGeek has your back. Each ticket's rated on a scale of 1 to 10. That's what I was telling you about. I don't even need to read this stuff. I already know it. So you know you're getting a good deal. The bigger the darker green and the bigger the dot, that means that's the best deal. The little red dots, don't even worry about those. You're not going to buy those. Those are bad deals. And every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee. And so here's the deal. Here's how I can help you guys. You guys can help me. You can use code WRIGHT10. That's right with a W. It's my last name, WRIGHT10, for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets with promo code WRIGHT10. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, just make sure you click the link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. Thank you to my friends at SeatGeek. Again, I got those courtside Grizzlies-Lakers tickets from SeatGeek. Tonight's Yankees-Royals tickets, SeatGeek. Tomorrow's Yankees-Royals tickets, the Gypsy tickets on Broadway. So again, SeatGeek, promo code WRIGHT10, WRIGHT, then the number 10, 10. You guys know what 10 is. Sorry about that. 10% off. Okay. DeMonze, I got you Lakers tickets once on SeatGeek. Oh, by the way, speaking of Lakers tickets, pal. So here's the deal. Maybe we got to keep our fingers crossed on the bracket falling right, and we have to keep our fingers crossed on the dates working. But if there is a Lakers round 2 game in Houston, kind of midway point, LA to Houston, maybe we do a little What's Right family meetup.
Hell yeah, that'd be sick.
Lakers Rockets playoff game, because I'm not gonna. It's just too hard for me to get to LA and do the show and all that stuff. But Lakers Rockets would be awesome.
That would be really awesome.
Yeah, and listen. This is something you'll learn, because DeMonze's filing his taxes today, because today is the deadline. Since you're a professional broadcaster now, if you were to do that, that's a tax write-off. You're doing it for work. I had to go, oh, yeah, it's a write-off. Like Kramer, just write it all off. All right, let's go to the other playoff series.
So we're waiting for the play-in to figure out what the rest of the series are going to look like across the league. But the rest of the list is set in the first round. On the west side, we've got the Lakers versus Minnesota. We've got Denver versus the Clippers. And then on the east, you've got the Knicks versus Detroit and Indiana versus Milwaukee.
So I'm going to spend the most time on Denver Clippers. We already did Lakers Timberwolves. And by the way, in about 10 minutes, we're going to do my full NBA awards ballot. So stick around for that. Let me go to the East first. I just want Milwaukee to win. Indiana should win. They should. And Indiana has been the more consistent team. Indiana's been honestly the more impressive team. Indiana right now is the healthier team. But do you realize, DeMonze, that Giannis has not won a playoff game, has not been on the court for a playoff win since that unbelievable 40-11 to go up 3-2 on the Celtics in 2022.
Yeah.
The next game, Giannis was just as good, 44-20, but that was Tatum's best game of his career up to that point. Then they lost Game 7. Then the next year, he got hurt during the playoffs and missed games. And then last year was out. He has not won a playoff game since that game when it looked like they were going to defend their title. Not a game. Forget a series, a game. He is having another unbelievable year. I would like to see him, if he could just throw the team on his back and get them back to round 2 and then throw a scare into Cleveland. So
but if
my
he loses,
analysis.
he'll leave.
Go ahead. What'd you say?
If he loses, he'll leave though.
I don't
you
know
don't want
that
to see
he'll
Giannis.
leave. I don't know that he'll leave this summer. Maybe.
Okay.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. So Indiana is the smart pick, but I'm going with my heart and just saying I want Giannis to do it, and I'd go with Milwaukee there. Knicks, Detroit. I disagree with the DraftKings odds on this. So they have the Knicks as huge favorites. Oh, that's funny. Sorry, I just got an email that was not meant for me.
What happened?
It doesn't matter. So they are. Look, I was looking down at my phone because I wanted to pull up the exact line. That is really sorry. The exact line. I think the Knicks are minus 400 in the series. Let me make sure that is correct. But series markets on DraftKings, Knicks are minus 400. Detroit's plus 310. I think that's too. At that price, I think Detroit is a better bet. But I think the Knicks are going to win. I just don't think that Detroit's a pushover the way that market would say it is. But I expect the Knicks to win. And then we have what should be an absolute all-out war in round 1, Denver against the Clippers. Now, it struck me as noteworthy, DeMonze, that Jamal Murray's hamstring was just lingering. And Jamal Murray's hamstring was such a problem that Michael Malone all of a sudden was like, listen, we hope he's back for the playoffs. And then Michael Malone got fired, and Jamal Murray's hamstring was healthy enough to play a couple days later. That struck me as, like, people are surprised by the Malone firing and nobody. And again, I'm not making any allegations, but the sequence of events there to me is a noteworthy one. But with Jamal Murray back, and with Joker playing like this, and with the Nuggets seemingly, having, I guess, a bit of a cloud lifted maybe, they feel scary. The Clippers, on the other hand, look abjectly terrifying. Harden was the best player on the court for Clippers-Warriors. He was unbelievable in overtime. He was 39-10, and Kawhi was sensational on both ends. Zubats has been great all year. All year. And Norman Powell was the guy everyone was playing their tiny violins for because LeBron stole his all-star spot. And they've got an excellent coach in Ty Lue. So this is the hardest series to pick. However, when you add to the fact that Denver has home court, Denver has the best player in the world, and the Clippers have playoff Harden, I'm going to go Denver in a 7-game classic. Denver to win the series. And let me check this as well. I hadn't looked at it yet. The Clippers plus a game and a half, meaning the Clippers to either win the series or lose in 7, is only minus 220. That's somewhat attractive to me because I do think that the Clippers could win, but if they don't, I do think it goes 7. But I probably would just take Denver. Denver to win the series on DraftKings is minus 135. That feels about right. Very, very close, but best player in the world, gonna get rested. I'm not even gonna bring up the Kawhi injury stuff because you're just not rooting for it. But it also makes them a harder team to bet on. And Harden in the playoffs is a real thing. So that's to me. I like the Lakers in a hard-fought but relatively quick series. Denver in an absolute classic. The Knicks to win, but not in 4 or 5. And the Bucks in 7, because why not? That's how I feel about the matchups that we have right now. All right, let's do the Suns real quick and then get to my awards ballot.
Yeah, after just one season, head coach Mike Budenholzer has been fired from the Suns. They finished this year 36-46 and have now had 3 coaches in 3 years. Do you think that this Phoenix stint is going to hurt KD's legacy?
Well, it certainly didn't help it.
Yeah.
I mean, basketball's so crazy. And this is one of the things I love about it. But I was just talking about Giannis's, how quickly it happened for Giannis. Like that they just went from being the defending champs up 3-2 on Boston, home game 6. Giannis drops 40, they lose anyway. He hasn't won a playoff game since then. Think about if you are the Phoenix Suns. You're the Phoenix Suns. You're up 2-1 in the NBA Finals. It's 2021. You're in Milwaukee, you're up 2-0 technically, but you get throttled in game 3. That's supposed to happen. You're up 2-1 in the finals, and you have a chance to win game 3 and or game 4, pardon me, and go up 3 games to 1. And it goes Booker missed jumper, Giannis's huge block on Ayton, Chris Paul turnover, Devin Booker missed layup, and all of a sudden, it's a 2-2 series. And then it's like, okay, it's a 2-2 series. We're all right. We're not exactly where we wanted to be, but we're all right. Game 5. It's coming down to the final minutes. You make a furious comeback after being down 12 in the fourth quarter. You have the ball. Down 1, 20 seconds left. Holiday rips Devin Booker, throws the oop to Giannis. The Bucks win. Giannis drops 50. Then a madman buys your team, and now you're just on your 4th coach in 3 years. You've traded away everything. You're in apron hell. Bradley Beal is pissed because Budenholzer's like, play like Drew Holiday. He's like, how dare you? I'm Bradley Beal. Kevin Durant, you've got to trade him. You were this close. The year after winning the championship, you're the 1 seed, by the way. It's not like it immediately went away. You're the 1 seed. Let's go back to that real quick. What happened there? Again, you're this close to winning a championship. You don't. You come back the next year. you're even better. You find yourself up 3-1 on the Dallas Mavericks. I'm sorry, up 3-2. You blow them out in Game 5 by 30. By 30. You blow them out. You're going to go back to the conference finals. You're going to play the Warriors. Chris Paul, Steph Curry. It's going to be great. And then Game 6, Luka goes crazy. 33, 11, and 8. All right, doesn't matter. Game 7's in our building. No problem. And Game 7, the score is 57-27 at halftime. And Luka has 27 by himself. And Devin Booker won't look him in the eye. And now you're just ruined. So it's less about Durant and more about that franchise just falling off a cliff. And as far as where Durant's going to go, we're going to have plenty of time to talk about that over the next few weeks. I'm not going to get into it right now, but this did not go the way he had hoped. He forced his way to a team that had just been to a finals and the previous year had the best record in basketball, and the team won one playoff round ever. They lost in round 2. They lost in round 1. They missed the playoffs. Just brutal. Just absolutely brutal. The NBA 82-game grind is done. Now the real fun begins. The NBA playoffs are here, and it's time for all the high-stakes drama, clutch moments, and jaw-dropping plays. I can't wait. If you're looking to make the playoffs even more exciting, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered as an official sports betting partner of the NBA. From the play-in games all the way through to the finals, now's the time to back your favorite players and teams as they chase glory. All season long, you guys know this, DraftKings has been the go-to spot for NBA player props, and that doesn't stop now. Want to make your playoff experience even more intense? Try placing a bet on your favorite player's performance. Will they drop 30, 40, or more? Your call. Ready to place your first bet? Download DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Lock in your bets. Make this playoff run unforgettable. Something special for first-timers. New DraftKings customers. Bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Make it a playoff run to remember with DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use code WRIGHT. Code WRIGHT. W-R-I-G-H-T. That's code WRIGHT for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Again, that's code WRIGHT. W-R-I-G-H-T. Bet $5, get $200 in bonus bets. All right, DeMonze, let's do our NBA awards ballot, and as much as we can, and then we'll get to our F1 minute and some listener questions.
Yeah, you still don't have the ballot, but we're just gonna do this for practice sake. But we'll get you there someday. For first off, you've got your MVP at 1.
Yeah.
You've got SGA 2.
I'll go through who I have, but so MVP to me is quite simple, and I have been, sorry, Daniel, really, I have found it unbelievable the number of people who have just decided all of the rules that I laid the groundwork for last year no longer apply. And so for me, the only question for MVP is the 5th spot. 1 through 4 are pretty obvious. Shea is the league MVP. He's 33 a game on a 68-win team. Joker should be the unanimous second-place MVP guy. He's 30 a game with a triple-double, carrying a team that is terrible defensively. Some of that's on him. And just fired their coach. Giannis is 3rd. Tatum is 4th. And if you want to say Tatum's 3rd, Giannis is 4th, that's fine. I think what Giannis has done, especially despite Dame being out, is remarkable. But that's a debate. And then, for 5th place, it was a debate between the following: Donovan, Cade, Edwards, and LeBron. And I I still want, well, I'll talk about all NBA first team because my 1 through 5 my MVP ballot is not my first team all NBA, and I'll explain that in a minute. But my 5th place spot goes to LeBron. And it goes to LeBron because despite the injury, he still played 70 games. He seamlessly did what a lot of people thought he either wouldn't be willing to or able to, which is fit with Luka. People are recreating history that, the Lakers were headed for the play-in before the Luka trade. The Lakers were the 4 seed the day Luka made his debut with the team. They stayed, even though Anthony Davis had gotten hurt. They were on a winning streak when Luka first got to the team. Their only real losing this year happened surrounding LeBron's injury. LeBron was a Swiss Army knife defensively once they got Luka, and honestly, once AD went down. They are the 3 seed in a loaded Western Conference. Only Oklahoma City was better this year against the best 10 teams in basketball. LeBron's been the through line of it all. I have him as 5th place in MVP. Now to the top of the ballot. So here's why I find these folks who are now saying they are going to vote for Joker to be so disingenuous, and what they simply should say is, he's my favorite player, he's the best player in the league, so I'm voting for him. Last year, the numbers for Joker v. Luka were not close. I will remind you of them, okay? Last year, Luka averaged 34, 9, and 9. He won the scoring title on good efficiency. He averaged 34 points, 9.2 rebounds, 9.8 assists. So basically 34, 9, and 10. The league MVP was Nikola Jokic, who averaged 7 fewer points, 26.5. 3 more rebounds, 12.5. And 1 fewer assist, 9. And it wasn't close. Luka got 4 first place votes. And the argument was purely, well, Joker's team won 57 games. Luka's team won 50. And Luka was not very good, even though the team was fine defensively. Luka was not very good defensively. Those same people now this year are saying, throw those rules out. And even though Shea's team has won 68 games and Joker's team won 50, the same exact number Luka's team won last year, I think Joker's going to get it because I've never seen an offensive season like this. And my question is, didn't you kind of see an offensive season like this last year by a guy who got 4 first place votes? Again, Luka last year was 34, 9, and 10. Joker this year is 29.6. Call it 30, 13, and 10. So 4 fewer points, 4 more rebounds on a team that won the same amount of games. And so that, now you might say, Nick, last year, weren't you a guy that was arguing for Luka? Wouldn't that then follow that this year you should be arguing for Joker? 100%. If one of 2 things were true. 1, I had an actual vote and it was impacting it, so I must vote with consistency. Or 2, and this is more importantly and really the reasoning, I do feel like the previous winners but certainly the most recent year, continues to set the precedent for the voting public because it is an undefined award. So last year, when a guy with 50 wins who's playing in the 4-5 game, who averaged 34, 9, and 10, got 4 of 100 votes because we said best player on the best team with really good stats is going to run away with it, to then not give Shea when Shea is, again, it's not like Shea's averaging 25 a game. He's 33, 5, and 6 with excellent defense on a 68-win team. And the history of guys on teams who have won 68-plus games, all of them, every team that has ever won 68-plus, Steph won MVP. Jordan won MVP. The 69-win Lakers did not have the league MVP. Kareem won it in 72. But that is because 2 Lakers split votes. Wilt and West finished 3rd and 2nd. That's why the Lakers didn't have one. Who are the other ones? Dave Cowens on the 68-win Celtics won MVP. Jordan won 69 games and shamefully didn't win it in 97 because the voters got sick of giving it to him, gave it to Karl Malone. But it's just, folks need to just say, I like Joker the most, so even though his coach got fired and his defense has been bad, and even though last year it was about wins, this year it's about raw stats. I'm just not going to lie. I think Shea's the MVP. Now to All-NBA. So again, I don't have an actual vote, but, and I know they changed the rules, I want my All-NBA first team at the very least to be 2 guards, 2 forwards, and a center. And I want all of my All-NBA teams to at least be credible teams you could roll out on a basketball court. So even though I had LeBron as my 5th place in MVP voting, I do not have him as All-NBA first team. I gave that to Donovan. So I want my 2 guards to be Shea and Donovan, my 2 forwards, Giannis and Tatum, my center, Joker. Second team All-NBA for me was very simple. My 2 guards are Steph and Ant. Cade's technically a guard, but he's tall enough we can just put him in kind of that point forward spot. He and LeBron are second team. And Alperen Şengün, who was the best player on a Rockets team that was the 2nd seed, he is second team All-NBA. Third team All-NBA, with apologies to Tyrese Halliburton. Halliburton had his spot stolen in Game 82, DeMonze, by James Harden. 39 and 10 to lock up the 5 seed and stay out of the play-in. So it's Jalen Brunson, James Harden, Jalen Williams as a forward because your team wins 68 games. It's not just one guy. Karl Anthony Towns is the other forward, and Evan Mobley as the other center. Again, that team won, 64? They need someone other than just Donovan. My defensive player of the year was not difficult for me. I think Draymond really hurt himself at the end of the year. It is Evan Mobley. My 6th man of the...
I noticed the Mobley thing. You have him as your defensive player of the year, but he's only in your 3rd team All-NBA.
Yeah, so that happens sometimes. There have been years defensive player of the year didn't even make any All-NBA team. I don't think Marcus Smart made an All-NBA team when he won it. I don't know if Tony Allen, did Tony Allen ever win defensive player of the year? I don't remember. But that happens sometimes. But I think he's the defensive player of the year. 6th man of the year is Malik Beasley. Just an absolute flamethrower off the bench. And I guess somewhat controversial, most improved, I think it's Ivica Zubac. I almost had Zubac on as my All-NBA team. He jumped his scoring by 50% over his career. He's been great defensively. Clippers have been excellent. He's been huge. I think he's the most improved player, even though he's old, and it usually doesn't go to old guys. Clutch player of the year is LeBron. LeBron's the only player in the league with 400, 100, 100 in the 4th. LeBron's 4th quarter plus minus and the Lakers record in the 4th quarter and his assist to turnover ratio is better than either of the previous clutch player of the year winners in Steph and Ant. And I understand Jalen Brunson's Clutch numbers are going to probably make Jalen Brunson win this award. That is in part because they do not have clutch numbers for defense in the clutch, where Jalen was lacking, obviously, because of his size. I think LeBron's clutch player of the year. Rookie of the year is very, very simple. Stephon Castle is going to be cool. Risa Shea will get some votes. And I think coach of the year, Demonze, is Ime Udoka. Getting this Rockets team to the 2 seed. When Jalen Green's a nice player. Amen Thompson's going to be an awesome player, but he's very young. I think Ime Udoka deserves coach of the year. So those are my ballots and my full NBA awards.
All right.
Does it make sense to everybody? Yeah,
makes sense
I think
to
it makes
me.
sense. Before we get to the listener questions, back after her spring break, or F1 minute. If you're a new viewer or listener, my goddaughter, Sierra Fadell, is our F1 correspondent. She is back updating us on what has happened in Formula 109.
Hey guys, welcome back to the F1 Minute with me, Sierra. So let's talk all things Bahrain GP. So it's been called the best race of the season so far, even with the chaotic technical difficulties, but 4 down, 20 more to go. Unlike the circuit last week in Suzuka, here in Bahrain, the track is seriously prone to overtaking, and that's pretty much what we saw throughout the entire race. On the first lap, a big headline following quali was Oscar Piastri starting from pole position for the second time this season. He was able to keep his position, but the rest of them pretty much played musical chairs around the first corners, but it was pretty entertaining to say the least. The conditions and the tire strategies were a big talking point of this race. With the cooler conditions, most cars started with softs, but the Ferrari boys started on mediums. It kind of sucked for them at first, but after a few laps around the track, the tires came alive for them, and they were doing pretty good. Piastri controlled this race pretty much the entire time, however, with sizable gaps to the front at times. Russell, Leclerc, and for a small fraction of a moment, Hamilton was even fighting for a win. Notice how I did not mention Verstappen, however. Yeah, that's because he was struggling pretty much the entire time with no grip, going into the pits multiple times to switch out tires and reporting issues with his car. And there was even a safety car, but it was from debris, not exactly a crash, so it wasn't all that notable. But at the restart, Piastri was still ahead, and Norris on fresher tires managed to pass both Leclerc and Hamilton, but not Russell in the good old Mercedes. In the end, Piastri got another win under his belt, finishing 15 seconds ahead of everyone else, Russell in P2 and Norris in P3. Some honorable mentions that I cannot leave out is the fact that Haas finished with double points this weekend, which is a big accomplishment for a team that maybe scores 1 or 2 points here or there between 2 drivers. Alpine showed promising pace pretty much throughout the entire weekend, and Yuki Tsunoda bagging points for Red Bull. Let's go. Has the second Red Bull seat curse lifted just yet? Only time will tell. But key takeaways, McLaren is the team to beat. That's pretty obvious. That's been so for a while now. But McLaren is the team to beat. Piastri is posing more of a threat than ever, especially to his teammate now, because he has more wins than Lando, and he's threatening his position in the Drivers' Championship. Little by little, Ferrari is showing better days. Hopefully, within the next few races, they can have their breakout performance, and maybe, just maybe, one of them can be on the podium. Please. But that'll be all for this week's F1 Minute. Next week, this circus is headed to Saudi Arabia to close out the triple header. So until then, I'll catch you next week.
Great job as always, Sarah. Can't wait to hear from you next week. The producers, Demonze, really want to get the Lil Wayne tweet in the show. I didn't do it during the Masters thing.
Shout
Lil
out to
Wayne
my
was
boy.
tweeting that he couldn't watch Bryson, so I texted him, was like, hey, use the Masters app. Here's how you do it. And then he sends out this tweet. I mean, listen, he's got 33 million followers. Throwing me a little tag in there would have been nice, but it's all right. No problem, Weezy. If you're having the same issue I was having, all you got to do is download the Masters app. Thanks to my boy Nick Wright. He's the nicest person in the world.
Yeah.
People would be shocked at how nice of a guy. Even if you think he's a super nice guy, you'd be shocked by it. Save these listener questions for Thursday's episode. We're having a few technical issues, and more importantly, I'm going to be late to do Cowherd Show, so I got to go. Today's show went long. You did great. Enjoy the play-in tonight. Go Royals against the Yankees. Thank you to SeatGeek. Shout out to them. Thank you to DraftKings. Thank you to everyone watching. See if we hit 200,000 by the end of the day. Thank you to Volume and Blue Duck. Thank you to Demonze. Talk to you guys soon. See you on Cowherd in about 90 minutes. What's right?